so that everybody understands what we're here for. My name is Todd Martin. I'm the CEO of the International Tennis Hall of Fame. And it's my pleasure to be able to introduce the induction class of 2019 for the Hall of Fame. We have two of the three inductees in the class of 19 with us. And I'll just tell you a little bit about them and about the honor of induction into the Hall of Fame. Induction into the Hall of Fame will happen later this summer in July, well, our summer in the U.S., in July 20 in Newport, Rhode Island at the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Induction represents the ultimate honor in our sport. And it signifies the sum of an individual's career in tennis and the excellence that it embodied. Certainly the three inductees this year resonate excellence in everything they've done. The three inductees are Yevgeny Kafelnikov, Mary Pierce, and Li Na. Yevgeny Kafelnikov is the first Russian singles major champion. He won the French Open in singles and doubles, the Australian Open in singles, and is a former world number one on the ATP World Tour. The two WTA greats, Mary Pierce, former world number 3, the winner of singles and doubles at Roland Garros at her home slam, as well as the singles here in Australia, and also the mixed doubles champion at Wimbledon. Mary, congratulations! It's awesome to have you here. Also, Li Na, former world number 2 in singles. The first ever Chinese major champion, and she won the singles also at Roland Garros and here in Melbourne. A common thread between all three of our inductees. But beyond that, she's also the inspiration of the growth of tennis in China, and can only imagine how many people that have experienced the sport of tennis that wouldn't have if it weren't for Li Na's accomplishments. I'm certain all of you are excited to be able to ask some questions of our inductees, and I proudly turn the floor over to you, and I believe you had a question.
This question is for Mary. Mary, can you just, how different do you see your career now that you've had the time and space away from it and more context and everything, than maybe how you saw it when you kind of hung up your racket?
That's a good question. I didn't hang up my racket, actually. It was, as everybody knows, I stopped because I had a knee injury and wasn't able to come back after that. I'm just very proud. I think when I look back to my career and see everything that I've done and where I've come from, I'm just amazed. I think from a little girl in Florida and just went to go be with her friend after school and just happened to pick up a racket and hit a few balls, and to be where I am today is just absolutely incredible. It's amazing, and I'm very, very proud.
Lee, how does it feel for you to have this accomplishment, to have gotten to the Hall of Fame?
So I will speak Chinese and then she will be translated. 我是极大的荣幸，对，然后也感谢名人堂的人，对，应该和所有人，然后对我网球的肯定，然后也感谢网球带给了我很多美好的回忆。
It's a great honor to be nominated an induction for 2019, and a great appreciation to the International Tennis Hall of Fame and all the friends and all the supporters in my career in tennis. So I'm very pleased to be here to receive this honor.
Lee, you've had a lot of memorable matches here. Some come to mind with Safarova, Azarenka, Clijsters. What stands out as your most memorable win and your toughest loss at the Australian Open?
其实最难忘的是2011年的决赛，我觉得那个是给予我虽然比赛输了，但是给予我更多的信心，然后坚信自己离大满贯的奖杯是那么的近。
The most memorable here in Australia Open was 2011 women's final. Although I lost it, that gives the confidence to myself and the inside of myself say I could. It's one step away to the championship in Grand Slam. So the best memory here is 2011.
Mary, how do you compare and contrast your two major singles wins? One, you were 19. The other 5 years later, in Paris.
So when I won here in Melbourne, I was 20, actually. I think that the French Open finals that I lost the year previously really helped me a lot, gave me experience of what it was like to be in a Grand Slam final, because I was very nervous for my first one. So coming into my second Grand Slam final here, just about 6 months later, I guess, something like that, more or less, I kind of knew what to expect as far as dealing with the emotions and the stress and how to prepare for that match. So obviously winning that one, it's your first one, and it's just an amazing feeling because that's your dream come true. It's what you want to achieve, and it was actually one of my goals as I started out the year, 95, was to finish in the top 5 and hopefully win a Grand Slam tournament, and I did it in the first month of the year. I finished number 3, and then I won the tournament here. I was like, okay, I have to reassess my goals for the year. So it was just... It's a very special feeling because it's your first one. And then obviously winning the French Open for me was my dream in tennis, watching it on TV and, with my dad and saying, okay, this is the one that you want to win. And, when you're playing in front of your home crowd and they're cheering for you, there's just no better feeling. And to have won the French, which was always the toughest one for me to compete at and deal with the expectations, the pressure, the stress, the media, and I always found it very difficult, and to finally be able to win that one for me was, I guess you could say, all the years from 10 years old when I started tennis until 25 when I won. So 15 years of the hard work, the suffering, the sweating, the tears, all the difficult moments, that it was all worth it in that one moment when you win championship point and your dream comes true.
My question is for Mr. Todd Martin. Lina is the first player ever from Asia to receive the honor to join the Hall of Fame. Just wondering your thoughts on her contribution on the sport and also the influence for future generation.
Well, I think the Hall of Fame is not just a body that recognizes the greats of the game. It's the steward of the history of our sport. And if you look forward 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, one can only imagine that the sport will continue to thrive, and it will be a massive sport in China and throughout Asia. And to think of Lina's accomplishments in her career in that context, to me, makes it really exciting for the potential growth in our sport. But if we were to look forward all those years at the people who are looking back at what the birth of the sport was in that region, you would look at the Beijing Olympics and the success of Lina's career. And you would also look at Michael Chang, even though he's an Asian American, certainly had an impact in the sport in that region. So that's how I look at it. I never knew some of the great Hall of Famers from the early 1900s, but I grew up knowing those names and knowing that their achievements were great, and part of the love of the sport channels down through those generations.
Can you imagine being in a position or situation of traveling with a family like Vika has done, Serena has done?
No chance.
Can you say that in Chinese?
I can travel with my children, but the perfect without a husband. Yeah, because even right now, I don't think he can help me, you know. So yeah, I was talking to a friend this morning. If I want a vacation, yeah, without a husband, that was the perfect vacation. Yeah, I can imagine. You know, I cannot like Serena or Azarenka like same time play and then take care about the family. I couldn't do that. Yeah.
You each talk about each other as players, about what you admired about each as a player. Mary talk about Lee, and Lee talk about Mary.
Well, we didn't play each other, right?
No, but you saw her. You saw her play.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really.
I was a little bit younger.
We know that. No, I just really admired the fact that coming from China and being, I want to say, independent and a strong woman and standing out for your sport, for yourself, doing what you wanted to do to achieve. That's kind of like trailblazing for your country, for the sport, for also girls to play tennis, to make a pathway for them to be able to have dreams and to achieve them. You know, I think that's a huge impact for her country and for her sport and for girls and for women. So I admired that very much because it's not easy to do coming from her country, I would imagine. And then obviously, I mean, you know, fantastic game, great athleticism, great game. I always loved, you know, she took the ball so early and taking the ball in the air. I love personally swinging volleys is one of my favorite shots. So, you know, I used to do those very well. So, yeah. And a great competitor, obviously, a great competitor as well.
So I speak Chinese. 其实我第一对皮尔斯印象最深的是那个时候我还小嘛，然后出来打比赛就看到有一个很优雅的，然后在场上我觉得网球运动员也可以这么优雅，然后看他打球真的是很干净的，对，然后那时候会觉得原来球员也可以这样，不是像我们那种就是出汗出的很吓人的，然后就是看他感觉真的像有一点像在T台上的，就是很应该怎么说？优雅。对，优雅那种感觉。对。
The first time Lina saw Mary play on court, the impression was superb, very elegant.
Thank you.
Like model on fashion show, and really sort of because by the time Mary was on court, Lina was young. She was training on court very hard. The training way in China was like sweaty, like sunshine, not like elegant or fashion, and that give Lina inspiration. Say that's the way to play tennis. In another way, the better. That's motivate Lina to say we could do that as well.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Lina, I believe that last year, sometime in the summer, there was a video that you posted, and somebody asked you which the young players that you thought was very, very good and might have had a big future, and you said Naomi Osaka. And this was before everything happened in New York. So not only can you see the future, but can you talk about why you were so big on Naomi then, and what is your impression of her? She's back in the quarterfinals here, of what she's continuing to do and what she can do for kind of Asian tennis.
其实在之前我很喜欢她在场上就是打球那种节奏，然后她在场上是我觉得比较成熟，就是脸上看不到任何比分的，就是不管输还是赢，其实表情是一样的。如何减压，不要看报纸，不要接触到任何关于网络的事情，只要好好想自己的球就可以了。其实所有的压力是来自于你自己。
When Lina first saw Naomi Osaka play, Lina she was really calm down, very mature on court. She was so focused on her game itself and block herself from like Instagram or digital media, and no pressure, point by point, and those kind of quality and the players' focus really impressed Lina on court.